David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Today I have for you a limited edition Montegrappa, available exclusively through the Carmel, California-based retailer The Pleasure of Writing. That model is called the Ortocera. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of this exclusive offering, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Thanks go out to the good folks at The Pleasure of Writing for providing this pen on loan for review. On a side note, the new California Pen Show will be taking place this upcoming weekend in Los Angeles. The original Los Angeles show is not being held this year. There were some challenges with their hotel. It's uncertain whether that show is gone for good or if they'll come back at a later date. In the meantime, the folks from Narwhal stepped up and fairly quickly organized a new show in Los Angeles called, as I mentioned, the California Pen Show. I'm interested to hear how this show goes. I have never had the opportunity to attend the previous LA show, but I would continually hear negative feedback about it from other vendors. It was often described to me as a show without a soul. I'm hoping that the new California show is a success and can turn around that negative image the previous show had. I am a Southern California native and I love to visit the area, so I would love an excuse to make it out there more often, even if it is LA as opposed to beautiful San Diego. As I mentioned, the pen I have for you today is an exclusive limited edition offering of The Pleasure of Writing, and they will be in attendance at the show. So I would encourage you to spend some time at their table if you will be there. They always have some very cool items to check out. Okay, let's take a look at a pen that I feel is pretty cool. It arrives in this box. I like these boxes. There's a little flap in the front that helps you actually remove the actual box, which lifts up, and we have some standard international cartridges. We have a little use and care guide, and then we have the pen. This is the Montegrappa Ortocera. It's made from what is appropriately called a zebra celluloid. It's my understanding that this limited edition of 100 pens is using up the last, or very close to the last, of available stock of this unique material. The Orthocera is an extinct nautiloid cephalopod. The Orthocera lived in the massive primordial seas, which covered the Earth over 450 million years ago. This is what the little buggers look like. They existed during the evolutionary period where sea animals were just beginning to develop shells. They were small, no more than about 15 centimeters or so, and were plentiful. Today, their fossils could be found in places like Morocco or Sweden, and often there will literally be thousands of fossils in a single site. It's believed they went extinct around 200 million years ago during a mass extinction event that killed off many different animals and plants. The extinction is thought to have been caused by a number of factors, including climate change and volcanic activity. Now, I mentioned the fossils of these animals were plentiful, and these are the wonderful times that we now live in. You can go up to Amazon, and for around $25, you can purchase a 450 million year old fossil and have it delivered to your home overnight. So that's what I did, and this is the fossil. I have to say that this thing is pretty amazing. I'll give you a closer look at it during the writing sample, but you can clearly see how these fossils inspired the name of this pen. Fossils like this get formed when the animal dies and then gets buried in the sediment at the bottom of the ocean. Over millions of years, that sediment gets turned into the limestone and quartz that you see here. It has a really nice weight to it. At first I debated spending the money on this just to show for a couple of minutes during a review, but I think this thing is actually pretty cool. You can see the shell and just the nice outline there. It fits really nicely in my hand, and I found myself playing with it almost like a worry stone or a fidget toy. So I'm glad I picked it up. Plus it looks kind of neat. Okay, back to the pen. As I mentioned, it is made from celluloid, and the trim is gold vermeil. If you're not familiar with the term gold vermeil, that means that it is sterling silver, which has been gilded with gold. Basically, it's gold-plated silver. Let's take a look at the top of the cap. It comes to a rather pointed tip. It's rounded off and not sharp at all. And then we have the clip. It has a bit of a bow to it and is wheeled. Even with the wheel, I do find this clip to be slightly stiff, so you have to be a bit intentional when slipping it into materials of varying sizes. The cap is rather pointed. It angles up until about 3/4 of an inch from the end where it straightens out. There we have a medium-sized band. The front is stamped with the company name, and on the back it is engraved with Italy, where this pen is manufactured, and the limited edition number of this pen. As I mentioned, this is a run of 100 pens. There is a medium-sized step down to the barrel, which almost immediately begins to taper down, and at the end, it comes to a rounded off point, just like the top of the cap. The cap twists off in 1.5 rotations, and underneath we have this very nice 18-karat gold nib. I've always really liked the octagonal design on Montegrappa's nibs. I think it looks unique, and on top of that, I like it when you get a bit of nib creep in that the ink kind of fills in some of the engraved lines. This nib is available in extra fine, fine, medium, and broad. They had some stubs, but I believe that those have sold out. And here's a look at the ebonite feed. The section begins with a flare before ascending again until it reaches the metal cap threads. Behind the threads, there is an extended straight portion before a rounded step up to the remainder of the barrel. This extended section really accommodates a wide variety of grip styles and locations. I don't find the metal threads to be sharp or uncomfortable if your grip should rest on them. They're actually pretty smooth. The pen is plenty long enough to use unposted. The cap kind of posts. I'd say that it's not too secure on here, so I would say that this pen is best used unposted. This is a cartridge converter pen. It accepts standard international cartridges, 2 of which are provided, as well as this converter. With the metal included on the interior threads, as well as the section housing, eyedropping this pen would not be recommended. Now, this is a luxury pen, and it does have a luxury price. It is available through the Pleasure of Writing for $1,295. If you are looking for a pen in that price range, then this is definitely one that should be under consideration. I like that it's a limited edition. This zebra material is very cool. I really like that this material is very scarce, and it's not like you're going to see a bunch of other pens using it. And then on top of that, I really like the inspiration behind the name of the pen. In addition to all of that, and as you will see in the writing sample, it performs very nicely as well. This is one of the pens that I'll regret having to return. There's just a high cool factor about several aspects of it. I'll put a link in the notes below where you can check it out on the Pleasure of Writing website. And as a reminder, if you are attending the California Pen Show this upcoming weekend and want to check this out in person, make sure to stop by the Pleasure of Writing's table and say hi. They're a great group of folks and have lots of high quality and unique pens to drool over. Okay, now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, a writing sample, and I'll give you a closer look at that fossil as well. Here we go with some size comparisons for the Montegrappa Ortocera. I just wanted to give you another look at that material. I just think it's really cool. I just think it gives a really unique look, the way it's kind of chopped up, and it does have that zebra kind of look. And then also, I wanted to give you another close-up look at this fossil. See if we can do this without the light hitting it, but you could really see that this is an extremely well-detailed fossil of this sea creature. And you can see right next to each other how they do resemble each other a little bit, and how it was a good inspiration for the name of this pen. In regard to some size comparisons with some other Montegrappas, this is a Mia Adriatic C. And then we have the doubly named Montegrappa. And then here we have an Elmo Chrysiocolla. And in regard to some non-Montegrappa pens, here it is with a Classic Pens LB5 Consecchi. Then we have a Visconti Rembrandt. And then finally, we have a Graf von Faber-Castell Tomatillo. In regard to some uncapped comparisons, here it is with the Montegrappa and the Visconti Rembrandt, and then finally here it is with the classic pen LB5. Here we go with the writing sample for the Montegrappa. And this is the Ortocera. And this is a medium 18 karat gold nib. And the ink that I'm using, since this is a nautically themed pen, I thought that I would use a nautically themed ink, and that is from Anderillium, which is A-N-D-E-R-I-L-L-I-U-M, Anderillium, and this is Flying Blue Squid. Actually, it's Flying Squid Blue. That's why I have it backwards there. This is what the ink looks like. It's a nice deep blue with some decent shading to it. Looks a little bit like Monteverde's Blue Velvet Cake. And then this is what it looks like with Diamine Oxford Blue, which is a little bit more on the purple side. These are what the inks look like. They have a whole series of basically ocean-themed inks, and then they have some based on birds as well. And I need to get around to reviewing these, so you might be seeing these in the near future. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. I've always been a big fan of Montegrappa's nibs. That you can see if you pushed it going a little bit too heavy, then it might railroad a little bit. But no, it did okay there. They're decently smooth with a fair amount of feedback to it. This medium nib has a decent amount of flow to it in regard to some reverse writing. It's not too scratchy. And then in regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up just fine. So there we have the Montegrappa Ortocera. As I mentioned, this is a luxury pen, but it does have a luxury pen feel to it as well as performance. So between the looks and the performance, I think that this is an excellent choice in this price range. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.